Hello friends, I'd like to do my book presentation for you this week. We're studying traditional literature and I'm going to be focusing my presentation on the Little Golden Books and one in particular. The reason I'm choosing this is because I went to an art exhibit at a children's museum recently called The Golden Legacy, which featured the original art from 65 years of the Golden Books. And I also purchased this book there, which gives the history of the Golden Books. And I met the author, Leonard Marcus, who is now one of my heroes. I found him truly fascinating, and the whole topic of how the Golden Books was established and how it still exists today was just amazing to me. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and hopefully some of the book covers you'll see will stir up some of your own childhood memories. Another reason why I love Golden Books is because my uncle was downsizing and cleaning out some of his bookshelves, and he asked if I wanted his Golden Books, and so I of course said yes, give me your free books. So he sent me a box full. That's the box, and we had so much fun pulling them all out and lining them up all on the carpet side by side and seeing some of the Golden Books over the years that he had collected. And so I was just going to scroll through some of these pictures of how much fun we had lining them all up and seeing them all. Hopefully I'm not scrolling too fast for you. I love that picture right there. So those are all the Golden Books that my uncle gave us, and now I'm going to tell you about the history. So in this book, Golden Legacy, and also in the lecture I attended by Leonard Marcus, he told how the publishing house came to be, and also how they were one of the first people to really understand how to brand something. So you'll notice on the inside cover of all the Golden Books the amazing artwork that they have, and they're also known for the gold stripe down the side. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but they never list the author and illustrator on the cover. They only list the brand name, Little Golden Books, and on the inside they'll mention the publishing house that they're working with at that time. But they never mentioned the author or illustrator because they wanted to keep the brand to just be known as Little Golden Books. The Little Golden Books, over their history of children's literature, has never won any librarian type of award, never any accolades from the literary community. It was kind of looked down on actually by librarians because they felt like the text and the stories were just not of the utmost literary quality. And knowing that, the publishers had the illustrations really stand out more than ever, so they would hire European immigrants that were professional artists to do the illustrations for their books. The art exhibit I saw talked about each of the illustrators and how many of the books that illustrators each did and how it influenced many of the illustrators today. It also was a book, the publishing house came out during World War II when a lot of people didn't want to spend money. Sorry, my volume thing's being silly. A lot of people didn't want to spend money on books, and so the Little Golden Books company would only charge 25 cents per book, which was incredibly cheap. And they also bypassed the librarian community, who were the people who would purchase books for children for school libraries and other areas that children would go to. And so they bypassed the librarians and they went straight to the parents by displaying in supermarkets and drugstores with really nice flashy book stands, the Golden Books, and so they went straight to the parents as booksellers. So the people who began the Little Golden Books Company was Edward Wadowitz and his younger brother Al, and they had a printing press that they purchased in Wisconsin, and they later renamed it the West Side Printing Company, and now it's currently named the Western Printing and lithography company. And that's where they published cheap books at a cheaper price. And one of the ways they did that was the quality of paper that they used, and also they used a side staple, which made the production of it a much cheaper cost. In the book I showed you at the beginning, Leonard Marcus talked a lot about those two partners and many of the creative business decisions they made. One of those being that they really believed strongly in licensing, and so they would form associations with different companies and try to get the license for characters that they could show in their books for other companies. And so one of those companies was Disney. I think I'll show that later, among other companies. But they would also hire children's book illustrators like Richard Scarry, Garth Williams, Ruth Krauss, and Leonard Weisgard, which were very famous illustrators at that time. So here's one of the books that they partnered up with Disney. That was one of their biggest clients that they landed for licensing. And with that, they were able to publish many, many books through the Golden Books publishing house of Walt Disney characters and Walt Disney movies. Again, the librarians really did not like how Little Golden Books was mass produced at such a cheap price, so they are not big fans of it. However, the general American public has very fond memories of the Golden Books. Other areas that other things that they would publish other than the typical Golden Book was the pocket-sized Golden Nature Guides. They also had an encyclopedia set, and during wartime, when many people were publishing smaller mini books, Golden Books decided to cheaply produce larger size books. So you can also find books, picture books for children that were really large, almost a foot high and very wide. So that way people felt hopeful during wartime, like they could afford that for their child. And you can see from some of the book covers the licensing deals they had. They had associations with the Muppets, Sesame Street, Disney, and they also had a collection of holiday type books. And they wanted it always to look the same when you saw it on the bookshelves, which is why they had that golden stripe. So now I just wanted to focus a little bit on, sorry, my volume thing is a little crazy today. I'd like to focus on the Poky Little Puppy. You may not know this, but the Poky Little Puppy is the #1 picture book, hardcover selling book of all time. It still is currently the #1 book ever sold, and it's still published today. And that's something I never knew before reading this book. The author is Jeanette Sebring Lowry, and the Poky Little Puppy was one of 12 original Golden Books. Of the 12, many of them were children's prayers, fairy tales, nursery rhymes, and then the Poky Little Puppy was original text. It was published first in 1942, and it was republished again in 1970 and 2001, and it's still being published today. It's not out of print. The actual story of the puppy is just a little story of a puppy and his brothers digging under a fence and going up a hill, and then they learn a lesson from their mother about not getting distracted. Here's the 12 original Little Golden Books. There's the first 6. And here's the second 6. And here's what it looks like if you would buy it today. Still being published, still #1 picture book. One thing I find fascinating about Little Golden Books is their ability to work with other brands, and so these are published recently. Walt Disney, Thomas and Friends, Chick-fil-A has a deal with them, and Sesame Street, among many others. And my personal thing that I remember about Little Golden Books as a reader is when I was young, I would look at the back cover, and so this was one of their earlier back covers, and perhaps you did this too, but I liked looking on the back to see all my favorite characters, like the little tugboat and the saggy baggy elephant. There's the pokey little puppy over there. Here's another one of the back covers through the years. Here's one of the early back covers. This one I'm the most familiar with. I think it was the back cover during the 70s when I was learning how to read, and I would spend a lot of time looking at every little detail. And here's the current back cover. And to finish up my presentation, I wanted to show you some of the books. If you went to the bookstore right now and wanted to buy some golden books for your children, here's what you might see. Again, you can see the licensing agreements that they have with people. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.